Shabbat Shalom, everyone. We are in Parshat Bo, the time we have all been waiting for. We are finally going to leave Egypt in this Parsha. We have 3 more plagues, the plague of locusts, darkness, and the slaying of the firstborn. There's a lot of action in this Parsha. Terrifying, terrifying plagues. Moshe goes back and forth with Aaron to Paro, to the Pharaoh, and demands to let the people go. We know how it goes. Pharaoh's heart is hardened, and the people are not let go. So Moshe and Aaron threaten another plague, this one worse than the last. And so it goes until the worst of all the plagues. They go and say, God is going to come through the land of Egypt, and every household is going to experience loss. And so it is. God comes in the middle of the night, and then Pharaoh says, okay, this is so horrible, you get to go now. It's not that simple. In the middle of all the action of this threat that God will come through and kill the firstborn of every Egyptian household, and it actually happening, the Israelites are told to sit down and have a meal of unleavened bread and a sacrificed lamb. In fact, it goes into detail about the laws of how this should be done, and tells us in chapter 12, verse 24, you shall observe this as an institution for all time, for you and for your descendants. And when you enter the land that Hashem will give you, as God has promised, you shall observe this doing, this avodah, this rite. And when your children ask, what do you mean by this avodah? What do you mean by this rite of eating matzah and Pesach? You shall say it is the Passover sacrifice to Hashem because God passed over the houses of the Israelites in Egypt when God smote the Egyptians, but saved our houses. And then we learn that God comes through in the middle of the night. And then Pharaoh, so terrified and brokenhearted, tells Moshe and Aaron, go, this is enough. It's only that when we sit down and reflect on what is happening to us and talk about the importance of the moment that we get to go free. The Exodus from Egypt is our defining story of the founding of our people. To be Jewish is to be a person who left Egypt. But it's to be a person who left Egypt in the midst of telling how we left Egypt. That sounded rather strange, because it is. We Jews have never, and the Torah telling us the first story of how the first Jews behaved and did this is the proof for this. We've never been able to just live in the moment. To be Jewish is to reflect on the significance of a moment as we're living in it and think about the future and its implications. And then we can truly be a people. Then we leave Egypt. I never read it this way before, that it is a requirement that we had the proto-Seder, the first eating of unleavened bread, and the Passover sacrifice as a requirement before we could actually leave Egypt. Perhaps to be a free person is to acknowledge the significance of one's surroundings and to not just go when told to go. To be Jewish is to pause and reflect. I wish you a Shabbat Shalom, a Shabbat of reflection. I hope we can all take time this Shabbat and always to sit around the table with our families, like at a Seder, but don't worry, Pesach is more than 2 months away. We have time. And reflect on the current moment and what it means to be experiencing the world right now. I look forward to having many conversations with you over this Shabbat and in the future. I look forward to seeing you at Zoom Shul. Shabbat Shalom.